Yeah, pretty. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda review. Anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Acceptance of the minutes for January 8th meeting.
I'll move that we approve the January 8th minutes.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Chair votes aye. Thank you. Motion to approve the minutes of February 3rd. Is that in addition? We have two sets of minutes. We can do those together if you want.
Yeah, let's do it
For
together.
both the meeting and the deliberative session. Can you hear a motion?
So moved.
And I'll second both of them.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of February 3rd and the February 3rd deliberative session. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Chair votes aye. Thank you. Okay, public input. This is your opportunity. If you want to address the board, we'll give you 15 minutes. Not one person 15 minutes. If anyone has anything to ask, and there'll be another session at the end of the meeting if you have any questions or comments. Yes?
So I already sent a letter, and it's already on your agenda about extending the school days. So I'm sure some of the people who are here are for the robotics and other reasons, but I know many people who are here would like some input towards that, and now's your time.
Okay, well, we can always do, if we need to extend the day, or we can always do a Saturday.
Oh, sure.
You know, we've done that in the past. But we will get into that. But if there is any comments on if we need to extend the school day because of the snow days and all that we've had, please get your input into us in the SAU office, and we can see how we handle it. Sure.
My name is Jen French. I'm a teacher at the high school, and when I'm not teaching, I'm a farmer in the summer. I have a pick-your-own strawberry farm. And at about June 20th every year, I become swamped in strawberries. And when I'm not there, and my help, which is all high school students, isn't there, I'm in real trouble, and I lose a lot of revenue, and my school kids lose a lot of income for their working for me. So it's kind of a practical consideration. And I do realize that my contract stipulates, but I think if there are ways to give those kids opportunities for jobs, and those of us teachers that have summer jobs as well, because we have kids in college, among other things, that's really rather high on my personal agenda at the
And
moment.
we're pushing that date right now.
Yeah, well, it's a long winter this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just have a question. It's the case that the instructional hours will be met whether or not the school year is extended or not?
Yes, yeah, but we're not here to just minimize. Obviously, if we can get the hours in that we really planned on, it's better to keep those instructional hours in place. But again, if we will meet, if we don't do that, we'll still meet the requirement hours. Anyone else? Okay, we will have another opportunity. Yes,
Can you
okay.
tell me right now when the last day of school is?
Right now, the last day of school, without the 2 emergency days, and we don't really need to make up those days, so I'm not counting the emergency days in this calculation, but the last day would be a half day on June 21st.
Thank you.
And I do have a little bit more for the discussion in a little bit.
Yes.
So, as an employer as well, like Jen, I guess I would have to say that it would be unfortunate if we were going to school so long that I had to hire help outside of our district, as opposed, because I really like to keep my help local. So that's definitely a consideration.
Certainly take it. Good. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. Ms. Coulter.
Well, we're on to our second half of the year, which is crazy. We had finals, which were tough, but I think everyone's happy that we're halfway through. Recently in the school, we had, last Friday was the Knights Against Hunger's second annual Empty Bowls fundraiser, where all the money goes towards providing our peers with food to help fight the food insecurity in our county, and we raised over $4,000 at that. So that was really amazing. And also last week, 40 seniors traveled to the Capitol Arts Center in Concord for the Senior Scholar Athlete Awards. And that's where we were recognized for being strong participants in sports, our community, and the classroom. And we had the third most students from all the Division II schools to be recognized. Some upcoming things are next weekend is our Winter Carnival dance, and then the week after that is Winter Carnival. So we have all the activities, daily, dress-up days, and close it out with a lip sync. So if you're looking for anything to do in 2 weeks on Friday afternoon, there's a lip sync. Next Friday is the boys and girls senior night for basketball, and we decided to have all the game fees, and we've been doing some fundraising, go to the American Cancer Association, and the student council tagged along with us for the concession stand. All of the concession stand proceeds are going to go to the American Cancer Society. The Tech Center this week is hosting their Career Tech Ed Week, where each day there's a career-oriented event. There was a breakfast this morning by Culinary, and then there's a career fair with representatives from different businesses and colleges, so that's a really great opportunity. And finally, tomorrow night is the Poetry Out Loud competition at 7 in the high school. I think some of you guys will be there, but there's 10 students participating, reciting 2 poems, and the winner gets to move on to the regional competition, so that'll be fun, listen to some poetry. And that's all.
Thank you, Abby. Okay, superintendent's report.
Well, it's always great to be here at Crescent Lake School, and we always get such a warm welcome. We have 3 people that I know are going to be very sorry they couldn't be here tonight. Bridget and Jim, board members, could not be here because they're both ill, and Mary Patry also needed to go home because she's ill as well. So I know she's going to be very sad because I see this lovely little arrangement here for her, so I know she's going to be sorry that she missed it. It looks beautiful. So I am really looking forward. I see some faces here that I think are probably going to be doing a presentation, and I know this is something that we all look forward to. So Mr. Riley, I'll just have you take it away.
Thank you.
So welcome to Crescent Lake, and thank you for allowing us to host as you know, I didn't actually bake any of that, but we are very fortunate to have Marie Frank, that I think does that in like 6 hours, all by scratch. I don't know how she does it. But we did want to mention congratulations to Mary. So unfortunately she's not here tonight as her last school board meeting here at Crescent Lake for her retirement, and just to acknowledge that. So thank you to the board as well for allowing us to do a little presentation today. To Kathy and Heather. It's a great place, and nice to see some staff here for a variety of reasons, but also just to support the building and the children. And they're very much involved in what we do. And so tonight, I know there's quite an agenda, so I didn't want to go too long for everyone here. But we've asked for a lot of money to be put into our budget for technology, and sometimes we just see maybe a line item, or we see money's being spent, but what does that really look like in that day-to-day? And so really tonight I was hoping to take an opportunity to show us some of the things that we're doing here, that we're kind of embedding not just the access to technology, but how technology is really supporting and enhancing our learning across settings. So a couple things that we do here at Crescent Lake is we have a green screen / blue screen. So we use that. I think that last year we might have seen some of the commercials with our convention, but now that we've gotten a little bit more advanced with our ability to film, and then to change from a green screen or a blue screen, depending on what we're wearing that day, and the props we're using and putting in. We're advancing that with the technology to do some video editing, so that's across curriculum. Our coding, kind of an opportunity to show our coding and what does that really mean in the schools and how does that work within the school. And then today, at the end, we'll end with our robotics team, our CLS Roboters, and their work that they did throughout the year for the Lego League and their competition at the state level. So our Crescent Lake green screen, so we have that in the media center. We use it for a variety of reasons. What's really nice is that we have Wolfeboro Public Television come in and volunteer some time and some hours so that we're accessing actually their cameras and their mics. So it's all voluntary time from them. And they work with the students around, more than just capturing the image, but understanding really the whole production that goes into it. The prepared piece, how we actually break it down and plan for the recording as opposed to just getting in front of the camera and then worry about the editing later. So it's been really, really, really great to have some work with Mr. Goodwin coming in and really working with the children. So this is kind of what it looks like. It's in our media center. And then we can, the blue, if you see it here, is actually now a blue screen as well, so that they can actually import props onto their video, so whatever their thing might be. So we use it again in our invention convention. So with their invention, we use it in other curricular areas with our social studies work when they did some of their explorers, maybe. Our fifth grade also use it for the author study. So they'll do a video or commercial on their author as well. So just different ways to embed it within the learning process and then sharing that knowledge. Our Crescent Lake coding. So coding, I think some people have an idea when they hear coding, but what does that really mean? We're not kind of talking binary code, or we're not talking C++. It's really breaking it down in a way that children can learn. So it's broken down into these kind of codes. So we ended up having an opportunity this year to join the first state competition, and we ended up getting 2 teams along with Tuftonboro into the state competition for coding. So we went to the state finals. We had this one team here that presented. That was the dynamic duo. And there was them at the competition. They were giving 2 different opportunities. We took the whole day, went over to Pinkerton Academy, took a bus over there with Tuftonboro, had lunch. They put up lunch for the kids, and then they went into a big auditorium and then essentially had a time and a clock to do as many of the activities as they can. So you can see that the blocks are here, and they create them all for themselves to make a robot or a machine do something specific. This was just a picture of, again, sometimes at the elementary level, we're still kind of in our own schools, but it was really, really nice to come together with Tuftonboro and kind of take advantage of bonding with them a little bit. And then this was our group here, and it was 3 6th grade girls and a 5th grade boy that represented our whole school. So it was a whole month-long opportunity that it was all online with all other schools around the state, from 5th grade to 8th grade maybe. Oh no, high school. So there's 2 different groups that we obviously worked in the middle school group. I had the upper elementary group. We had some middle school students in there. And this is us with the governor. We got an opportunity to sit with him, and as we were awarded a nice plaque. And what was great about the plaque and why we got into it was our faculty had the highest rate in the whole state of faculty participation when we were coding. So it wasn't just putting the coding in front of the children, but it was as a staff actually getting in front of computers, logging on, and then actually having to do the activities. And because of their participation allowed us to enter in, and there's a variety of different ways to enter into the competition. So just again, kind of the folks that I get to work with every day and how committed they are to children that provide other opportunities outside the classroom. So I wanted to share that. And then Coders was the competition we did. They're now kind of marketing, of course, their platform. But just to show you what that kind of looks like, to kind of get an idea of what they're coding, I just wanted, it's a 2-minute video. It just kind of shows you what we're doing. Opportunities we did it was during the hour RTI time. We allowed kids to do work on their coding, or they could do it at their home once we kind of got them some instructional ideas on how to do it. And then we also embed that within RTI and sometimes classroom opportunity. Obviously the hour code, but we don't want to just minimize it under that 1 week. We're trying to embed it within what we do and opportunities for it. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what it really looks like to code.
Delivering engaging STEM classes that are truly interdisciplinary is one of the biggest challenges teachers are facing nowadays. While robotics are great as learning environments, high costs and
Oh, you can't see
overall
that.
initial commitment keep them out of most classes.
Sorry.
Our mission is to bring robotics to all students. That is why we developed Coders.
See that? Sorry. All right, that's right. I won't waste that. Sorry, it works out great. Of course, technology, right? That's why the kids do it. That's why they're presenting it tonight, not me. That's why I did the video. Case in point. So essentially, it's really building those blocks, and what it is part of what they do, I guess, in the industry on machines and how they do machines through whether it be like an Amazon warehouse and they're programming it in so that the machines are picking up boxes, dropping boxes, moving things around, and just getting into that mindset of you know, designing, understanding what it's supposed to do, and then kind of that reverse engineering of them writing in that code. So sorry that didn't work. So. Anything up there?
Really great picture of the school.
Yes. You can? All right, now you have time. Show one of you guys. Do it for us.
Delivering engaging STEM classes that are truly interdisciplinary is one of the biggest challenges teachers are facing nowadays. While robotics are great as learning environments, high costs and overall initial commitment keep them out of most classes. Our mission is to bring robotics to all students. That is why we developed Coders. Why robotics? Learning with robotics offers students the opportunity to engage with real-life problems that require STEM knowledge and 21st century skills. What is Coders? Coders is an online learning environment for coding real and virtual robots. Coders is low floor, high ceiling. This means beginners and pros alike can learn with Coders. Coders simplifies teaching. It's a pedagogical tool that enables teachers with any level of experience to teach robotics and guide students step by step from virtually anywhere without the need for costly equipment. Coders simplifies learning. With engaging simulation, providing immediate feedback, embedded content to guide their way, and the visual and/or textual code editor, students find Coders easy and fun. Coders seamlessly offers multiple virtual scenes and multiple robot models to keep students engaged while delivering new and exciting learning opportunities. Since Coders is online, available from any browser, robotics classes can take place outside the lab. With Coders, flipped classes and homework assignments are coming to robotics classes everywhere. We are committed to your STEM success. Our professional development program, curriculum, and support make sure you and your students can take STEM much further. Join Coders now and start the journey to STEM success.
So obviously with a program such as this, we can access more the virtual piece as opposed to this, right? So Lego League and other robotics pieces, this is kind of the first step if you've seen the high school where they build their own machines, kind of as an introductory piece. But we're limited to 10 by the rules, so we can only have 10 children participating where what we're doing in the school and access to that is really supporting kind of that growth and that mindset under they're just learning a little bit differently than otherwise we would. And it's been helping us. So just to know, seeing where we're kind of investing some of those monies and what we're kind of doing on that week to week and semester with technology. So right now I'll turn it over to, so I have our two teachers that run our Crescent Lake Robotters, is Mrs. Arsenal and Mrs. Diamond. And I will turn it over to her and her Crescent Lake Robotters.
So I'm Mrs. Arsenal, and this is Mrs. Diamond, and this is the CLS's robotics team. We're just going to introduce ourselves, and then we have a little presentation for you tonight. So you want to start, Evan?
My name is Evan, I'm in 5th grade.
My name's Matt, I'm in 6th grade.
My name is Jack, I'm in 5th grade.
My name is Ace, I'm in 5th grade. My name is William, and I'm in 5th grade. My name is Oliver, and I'm in 5th grade. My name is Cindy, and I'm in 5th grade.
When we went to competition this year at UNH, it was really exciting with this robotics team because they're one of the younger teams represented. It's grades 5 through 8. And I think that's really exciting because they have a couple more years to work with the Mindstorm technology and continue to build their skills.
Good evening, we are the Robotters, CLS's FLL Robotics Club. Our team met every Wednesday for 2.5 hours in the fall. During this time, we used our creativity and imagination to design a robot, solve real-world problems, and develop gracious professionalism. We are very excited to share our hard work with you today.
STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Our club integrated all of these. We have to design a robot to complete missions, program the robot to do those missions, and use our imagination to solve a real-world problem. There were 3 elements to our club: team building, robot game, and research project. At competition, we had to present to the judges our ability to work as a team without coaches. We also had to design and program a robot to complete missions on the game board. You will see that today.
Another element to our club was the research project. We had to come up with a solution to a problem. The topic this year was water and how we cannot use so much of that. We decided to design a toilet that used recycled water.
Another big part of our team was to build, test, and program an autonomous robot using LEGO Mindstorm's technology to solve a set of missions in the robot game. We'll be showing you 2 of those missions today.
After all our hard work, it was time to compete. Our competition was at UNH in November.
There we had to represent our project and team building skills to the judges and compete in 3 robot game rounds.
My favorite part of competition was seeing all the other teams' robot designs.
My favorite part of competition was finding new ways to program and complete our missions.
My favorite part of competition was seeing everybody else's robot design.
My favorite part at competition was to see everyone else's inventions to help not using any or My favorite part was seeing other people's robots.
My favorite part was seeing all the different teams' designs.
My favorite part was seeing the other team's designs of how they handle water.
We learned a lot this season about gracious professionalism. You may wonder what gracious professionalism meant to our team. It meant working together to come up with a project idea we could all get excited to learn more about. It meant not giving up when the robot codes needed to be adjusted over and over.
At competition, it meant encouraging one another when the robot missions didn't go as planned. It also meant congratulating and supporting other teams. The presentation and table times were important, but even more important was how we cooperated and treated one another in our successes as well as in our challenges.
This season, we learned a lot about programming. We worked hard and long to complete multiple missions. Even though programming was tough, we worked together and completed our task. We worked in groups of 2 to complete 5 different missions. During the competition, We found new ways to program the robot and finish the mission. Now we will show you 2 of the missions that we have succeeded in finishing.
So, any questions for the team before we show you the mission? You might want to come over to see.
So during competition, we had 3 different tries to complete each and every mission we had. So sometimes it would the robot would turn over, and sometimes it would just go straight. So we had to find out a way to make it so it would either go straight and get the pipe. And this mission was technically so you had to get that pipe, bring it back to, this is home base, and then replace it with a new pipe. What we had to do is, try it again, is after the robot went there, we had to make it, we were supposed to pick it up and then bring it back to here. That doesn't work most of the time.
Matt, do you want to tell them how consistent it was today? Like,
Oh yeah, we were practicing earlier, and it would get it almost every time, but then it doesn't work anymore. So
Because there are people watching you.
yeah. Another mission is the rain mission. We had the robot has to drive up and not move this over, so the rain will fall out.
So that's our team. So thanks for, we did attempt other missions. I think we attempted 5 missions, which is our record so far. So.
Good job. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We had like a main program that we started out with, and then when we tried it, if it didn't work, we would use we had a computer that we had to program it on, and then we'd have to change the program, and then so like count the rotations and how many like the speed, and so it wouldn't like go forward or back too much. And the rotations, we used a special tool. Last year we actually had wheels. So last year we made a special tool it was a wheel attached with little like cone or thing on it. That would, when it reached a certain point on the wheel, we would count it as one rotation. But this year, since we used tracks, we had to, what do we have to do differently? Didn't we have to use make it into one of these? Yeah, and we had to count it with a new bigger track. Think about it. Yeah.
Nice job. Thank you very much.
So thank you. We really appreciate us allowing to share some of the great things happening from the student side, from the faculty side, and we really continue to appreciate your support and our ability to serve the kids in the community.
Well, this is definitely our favorite part of the meeting.
Absolutely, yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
The next order of business is Kelly Cody is here to talk about a program that she would like to introduce to New Durham. It's a Get Ready to Learn program. So Kelly, would you like to come on up?
Sure. We have access to a new tool called the Class Catalyst for our 5th and 6th graders. And it's an online tool that we have been provided as part of the work we're doing under our grant that we received from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. Students in 5th and 6th grade will use a Chromebook, and in the first 3 minutes of a class, we'll go on to the Class Catalyst and will record whether or not they are ready to learn, what their preparedness is, how they're feeling at that moment, that kind of thing. The teacher in the classroom sees the feedback, and so it's private to the teacher, and then the teacher can address everyone's readiness or preparedness to learn, and then they can move on from there. The cool thing on our end is that it will provide data collection for us that we'll be able to use in relation to our current building goals. And it's a secure browser, it's a secure site, so the teacher will have access to their class, but other than that, I will have access to the data so that I can then generate our percentage of readiness, preparedness for learning every day, that kind of thing. And so we'll use it as a learning tool, I guess, across the board. And it's a private feedback between the teacher and the student. So you have a packet that just has like a paper version of a little bit of what the screen might look like. I don't know if you have other questions.
Do you want to talk about maybe some of the exercises that kids do to help them focus and get them ready?
Sure. So if the class goes on to Class Catalyst and sorry, am I invading your space?
No.
I kind of do that.
That's all right.
If a teacher goes on and a student is feeling tired, or the way I felt after the Patriots lost the Super Bowl, that kind of thing, then the student will have access to a menu of different things that they can choose to improve their readiness for learning. So maybe that means to take a couple of deep breaths and be thankful for the season that we had, even though we lost, something like that. And then after that few minutes, they can then move on from there. And the activities are very similar to some of the ones that you saw when you came to New Durham. So.
Kelly took my question.
Yeah,
because I was going to say it fits really well with the continuation of the school
Right.
stuff that with the exercises and the
Absolutely.
different coaching that the kids are doing to each other.
Right.
We're back.
And if the teacher sees like the entire class
Yeah.
is feeling pretty, sluggish, we just had a big lunch, we're not really feeling it, they can get everybody up and take a walk and get some fresh air and then come back and hit the books, so. Other questions?
I think Kelly would like a motion of support for the program.
Okay. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. I can't do it myself.
Yeah, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other questions for Kelly?
You still have to get parent.
Yes.
In
Parent
addition
permission,
to
I
us.
had to get your
Okay.
permission before I got parent permission.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of approving the program, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Great.
School days, I think this is probably the topic that a lot of people are here for. And when I received Lisa's letter, I went through the calendar and Heather, because we've been in the middle of 2 deliberative sessions, so Heather and I worked on this together. And we've had 3 snow days, 2 blizzard bag days, and we had 2 emergency days, and an additional period of time when we had to close Effingham because of really an emergency there. So the emergency days, we really don't need to make up. We exceed by quite a bit the number of hours that we're required to have in the school year. On the other hand, as a practice, of course, we don't want to start shrinking our school calendar because we know how important it is to have the kids in school as much as possible. So, you know, you have to strike that balance, and I think I certainly recognize that we want to do what's best for families in particular and kids, and strike some sort of balance there. So in looking at the days out and where we would be ending school now, without those emergency days, the last day of school now would be June 21st, which is a half day. And I don't know where the teachers are at as far as how comfortable teachers feel with the June 21st as the last day. I think if we were to go beyond into the next week, that's where I think a lot of families would start to have problems with camps for their kids and vacation and things of that nature. So if we do, there is a possibility, since it's only February, that we could have, we usually do, have another day or 2 in March, sometimes even in April, given that it's New Hampshire. I hope not, but we do have the opportunity, if, as Lisa suggested in her letter, to, if we use the 15 minutes per day to extend the day, we have the opportunity to make up as many as 3 days. So my recommendation at this point would be, if we do have to close school for additional days, that we add whatever the amount of time at the end of the day is that we need to add based on how many days we need to make up. So how clear is that? So in other words, if we had 1 day, we would need to add 15 minutes from March 5th to April 6th in order to make up that day. If we had 2 days, we'd have to go from March 5th to May 17th with an additional 15 minutes each day. And if we had 3 days, we'd have to go from March 5th to May 17th. If we have no days before March 5th, obviously we can start this on April 9th. So my suggestion would be, Stacy, do you have a question?
I'm sorry, what was that cutoff date? March 5th?
If we could, March 5th to April 6th would be 1 day. April 9th to May 17th, that would be another day, or a total of 2 days. And then May 17th to June 21st would be an additional day and would give us an opportunity for 3 days. So the opportunity we have is to add 15 minutes. That would cover 3 days if we did it from March to June 21st. I hope we don't need to do that. So I don't think I was clear. Was I?
No,
I think so.
Okay.
I think that makes sense, and if we, obviously, if we don't have any issues between now and the middle of March or
Right.
whatever, but we still have a day we have to make up, then we can just start from there forward.
Right.
To pick up that 1 extra
Right.
day,
Right.
whatever we need to, so.
I think though if you had a couple snow days in March though, then you wouldn't be able to make all 3 of them up because you're already into that first period, so it's kind of a.
Well, if you have 2, you can go then from April through June, we pick up the 2 days.
Right, it's
So-
just that if you had a.
Right. If we have like late
If we have 3,
days.
then we'd have to revisit what we're doing, because that would be, yeah, that would be a lot.
So my recommendation for, I had a couple of motions just in case, and I think the way we could do it is, in order to make a decision, the decision is going to require some flexibility because we don't know how many snow days we're going to have. So a motion I think that would make sense is that if there is an additional snow day or days, the instructional time would be made up through adding 15 minutes per day until the equivalent in instructional time of the day or days missed is reached. Does that make sense? So that gives us the flexibility, we will know that we have the board's approval and support to add the 15 minutes depending how many snow days we have.
And I guess you might, you want to just add that it would not go beyond June 21st at the end of the, you probably want to date certain, I think that, no matter, if we wind up with three days, then we can't start until April, then, we're not going to be able to add 15 minutes and make up the full 3 days.
Right, so that would be
So,
something you would want to decide
Yeah,
how to handle that.
and at that point, I think we
Yeah.
just have to decide to leave the cutoff date at June 21st or whatever, and if we only make up 2, we still have the instructional hours that we've met. So that might be the best solution at that point.
I would move the motion as presented.
Okay.
And I'd just like to comment that I've worked very hard with the school board to get school to start after Labor Day, because so many kids in our schools work in the local community, supporting the local businessmen because they're trying to make some money. And so I'm totally in agreement and understand what you're saying about you need manpower for your businesses, and if time becomes critical. So that's why I suggest we go with this.
Moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the addition of 15 minutes per day, if needed, to make up additional snow days, not to go beyond the last day of school, the 21st of June. Any questions? Comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Okay.
Somebody had a
I
comment.
just have a question.
Sorry.
Kathy, on those 2 days in October that were, they were forgiven by the state. So I was just wondering how how they're gonna be made up to the people that work over 30 hours that didn't get paid for those 2 days.
Well, we generally offer professional development
Yep.
for people, so we'll definitely work with those folks because we don't want anyone to not have their contracts fulfilled, so we will work something out.
Thank you.
Okay. Think we're good?
All right, now we have some really great news, and I wish Mary Patry were here because Mary is the person that submitted the grant to the state. The state has given us some information about infrastructure money, and it really was based on need for equipment for security kinds of things. So when we saw this, all right, we need to apply for it and see if we can get some money. And because there are definitely some things, particularly cameras, I think that we need to upgrade to the quality of our cameras and some other things I think that would be helpful in terms of security. So we have been awarded a $256,000 grant. So I'm very excited about that because we're going to be able to make some upgrades that we really wanted to make. But, as you've all said as board members, and I think teachers have heard me say, putting together a budget is a puzzle and you have to work with priorities. And so, in order to do one thing, sometimes you can't do another, and this is going to allow us to do some things that we've wanted to do for a while. So it's great. I'm very happy about it.
Excellent. Kathy, quick question.
Yes.
Is that money for material or material and personnel?
Not for personnel.
Okay, material.
It's for infrastructure. Yep.
Well, kudos to Mary for
Yeah,
putting that together.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So why is it, in this letter, it says conditional approval? Is that because we've got to match 20% of it? Is that what
No.
makes it conditional?
No. Well, they just have to work
Oh, I
out all the
see.
figures at the state.
Yeah, the general court.
Yeah.
To approve it.
So I think it's like 99 and 9/10%. I had an earlier letter that I was going to, from the governor, that was, you may receive, it's likely you will receive, and I just got this letter today, so I put this letter in. I've got a different letter in my packet. That's the conditional letter, this is the
Oh, okay, so,
approval
because this
letter.
one says, yeah, it's like not a done deal. Gotcha.
So we
Nice.
actually we have to claim this by April 1st, 2019.
Okay, that's good.
So,
That
yeah.
makes a difference.
Yeah. So it's all conditional on what we submit, and then we get money. It's
Okay, so that was
in that
conditional,
way.
but you
Yeah.
got the
Yeah.
confirmation.
Okay. Well, I replaced my letter, but no, you got yours. So, okay, and then we have another thing, another letter that's a really positive letter, and it's so nice to get positive feedback regarding our students and our faculty that I just wanted to read it to everyone. Dear Ms. Cuddy Egbert, on January 20th, I was honored to guest conduct the Lakes Region Music Festival concert band at Interlakes High School in Meredith. The band manager was Robert Burns, Director of Music from Kingswood Regional High School. I'd like to commend Mr. Burns and the LRMF. Mr. Burns organized band member selection, member rating and ranking for their chair seating and music distribution, scheduled rehearsals, acquired appropriate percussion equipment, met my requests, and much more. His organization and management were impeccable. His attention to detail facilitated the students' learning and performing 3 selections in just over 5 hours. The members of the LRMF concert band worked diligently from 8 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. at a brisk pace with 5-minute breaks every 45 minutes. They ate lunch from 11:30 a.m. until 12. Rehearsals resumed from 12 until 2. At 2 p.m., students performed for their peers, and at 4 o'clock for family and friends. The repertoire was Bright Lights, Afterlife, and The Centurion. Students performed with precision, maturity, and musicality. You should be extremely proud of your 12 KRHS participants. I write this letter with thanks and admiration for the dedication of time by Mr. Burns and all of the students from LRMF. These people give up their entire Saturday to meet one another and to become a cohesive musical ensemble after a rigorous week of school. The devotedness to the arts is a positive dedication to music education among the high school students and staff and deserves acknowledgement, praise, and appreciation. Please commend everyone who participated in this challenging musical event. This is an event that I have been to many times, and it's a marvelous event. It's just incredible to see where the kids start at the beginning of the day and where they end up, because you think, wow, how are they going to pull this off? And then they do. So it's really fantastic. So nice positive letter and kudos to the students and to Mr. Burns. Next we have field trip requests, and it's the time of year we have lots of them. So I'll just go through one at a time. I know that you've all had the opportunity to look at these, so I will just go through them, and if you have any questions, just please ask. Lakes Region Technology Center, the DECA trip.
I have a question.
Yes, okay.
I know education has a lot of acronyms, but what is CTSO?
CTSO.
Career and Technical Student Organization.
All right, great. So glad you're here. You always ask the tough questions.
I didn't know.
So this is a trip that the LRTC, Lakes Region Technology Center, goes on every year, and it's a great opportunity for the kids.
Better approve it tonight.
Yeah. I have a question on this one.
Sure.
So, it's 12 female students, and it says that there's someone, a teacher from Concord will serve as the female chaperone.
Mm-hmm.
But do we know, does she have a number of students from her school she's responsible for too? And
I would assume so.
And what's that number? Because that's 2 days in a hotel
Yeah.
with how many girls?
That,
could
I
be?
don't know that number.
One of the later trip requests has it spelled out as one supervisor ratio of a 5-to-1 ratio for student to adult. Is what is it on that one right there?
Yeah, Ernie, this is the DECA one.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I guess it's, you know, I don't think we set specific ratios, we just
No.
said we're mindful of them, and I'm just
Right.
wondering how many
Right.
other students she might be responsible
The
for
way-
her school too.
The way I look at this, Stacy, is given that there are 20 students and 2 chaperones, if there were an issue, that's, I think, when we would need to call, you know, with a student of a particular gender that required the same gender person to deal with it, that's when we would call on that person. So I don't know, but I can find that out for you.
Well, I only wonder, like, if she's the chaperone from her school and Mr. Rico's the chaperone for the males from our school, between the two of them, could they be responsible for 40 kids? I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Where I'm going?
and I don't know the answer to that, so.
Like, I don't wanna hold up
Yeah.
approval, but I would like that to be looked in
Okay,
to.
sure.
Yeah,
before they
and I
leave.
think, we've talked about this a lot, and I think it would be beneficial to make sure that that's out there when they put these requests in. You know, again, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't wanna say, it's 5-to-1 ratio and you can't go, it's not 5-to-1. But I think Stacy's right. I mean, theoretically, you could have another dozen females, and this one person might be responsible for 25 females. And that's not good.
Well, I can certainly, we have another one that's just like this, so you're
Okay.
probably gonna have the same question on that one. So I will look into that.
I'd ask for approval on this, but again, I think we just really have to do a homework on the chaperone numbers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and, it is, like Kat's point, it's like 2 days from now.
Yeah. And I know, I'm sure, I know the Radisson has
Oh, yeah, no.
security and all that, but
Yeah.
security is one thing, but dealing with individual students is
Well,
sometimes something very
and
different.
sometimes if you know your students, but, and this is nothing against the chaperone, I'm sure that, we wouldn't have partnered up with her, it's just,
Right.
Okay.
we're responsible for our kids.
So I'll make a motion to approve the trip for the 14th.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the DECA trip. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye.
Okay, the next one is Athletic Spirit Cheer Group to an athletic cheer competition.
That's a day trip out of state.
2 chaperones and all females on this one.
Make a motion to approve the trip on the 18th. Spirit cheerleaders.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Spirit Cheer trip for the athletics on the 18th. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye.
And now this next one is the leadership conference, and this is an athletic conference. This started out with, there are only 8 slots for this particular event, and the 8 slots include the chaperone. So that's why initially they only had a male chaperone, in spite of the fact that there are 4 males and 3 female students. So they do have an assistant from Kristen Brule from Plymouth, who is willing to be the female point person for our group. And the maximum that she would have would be 7, because there's a limit to this program. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 15th leadership conference for the athletics.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the leadership conference trip to Bretton Woods. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Chair votes aye.
And the next one is the HOSA Science Technology Conference, and Cheryl is here, so she can answer any of your questions. I think this one looks well chaperoned, males and females.
I got it covered.
Yeah, looks like it's good.
Make a motion to approve the March 15th trip for HOSA.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the HOSA trip. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye.
Okay, the next one is the Technology Student Association, and that's another leadership conference and competition. And we have 5 female and 3 male students with 2 chaperones, 1 male and 1 female.
Quick question, what size bus do they use for something like this?
A big one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they would have the ability to use one of the vans, but I don't know if they do or not, because we do have.
Would save money, that's all.
Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve the March 22nd trip for TSA going to Attachment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the technology students' trip to Attachment Mountain Bartlett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair will second.
Right, and on we go, the high school robotics, and that's in Lewiston, Maine. And you know well about robotics. We have 16 male students and 1 female student, and we have male and female chaperones. 3. We'd like to see more females participate in robotics. We have to work on that.
We do at the elementary level, moving on up.
Yeah.
Is Sandra Carbonell from our school district?
I think Sandra is a parent.
It would be helpful, I think, if they weren't our staff, if there could be a note there, just so we know. That's just what my opinion, but.
What we should do is take one of these to academic affairs and write down all the little things that we'd like to see.
Because we've kind of done that in the past to kind of standardize the forms. And now if we have
that's a good idea.
If we have to clean it up a little bit, that's good.
So we can change
Yeah.
that and put role, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And in addition to role, we could also, if it's someone from another school, we can.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
just could be if it was district faculty or other, and if
Yeah.
it was other, if they could specify.
So I'll make a motion to approve the March 23rd trip for robotics going to Lewiston.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the robotics trip to Lewiston, Maine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Right. This is Kingswood Regional High School, and this is the Washington DC trip that has become an annual event for students, and they get to see democracy in action. I believe they are able to go into the Capitol building and actually watch a session of Congress, so that's kind of exciting.
4 males and no females.
We're gonna get females doing some more things here. All right, good, Abby.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 15th trip to Washington DC.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for the Washington DC trip. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Okay. And the Tuftonboro Central Boston Red Sox STEM Education Day, and this is the kids have gone a couple of years in a row now, and they love this trip. There are all kinds of STEM activities that happen out in the field, and it's just a really exciting day for the kids. It's just a day trip, no overnight, and there will be 19 students and 4 children. And I can tell from the names here that what you see here is all faculty.
And I assume that Andrea is the one that signed this?
I don't have a signature on this, but she will, yeah.
She's usually pretty good about typing them out. So-
Yeah, she's meticulous in her.
I'll make a
requests.
motion to approve the May 2nd trip to Boston for the Tuftonboro.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded for the Tuftonboro 6th grade trip to Boston Red Sox STEM Education Day. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye.
Okay, and the last one is a day-long class spirit trip. I think this is really meant to be sort of a culminating trip for the class of 2018. Although there are quite a number of students going, there are also quite a number of chaperones. And pretty soon these students are going to be off on their own.
This is a Saturday trip.
Yes.
Yeah, it's our senior trip.
Interesting. Okay.
Did you guys pick it?
Yeah, we tried to find something that was low cost, so we eliminated an overnight trip, so everyone could be involved. So it turned out to only be $35 for each person to go to the games, so.
That's great.
Yeah.
What a
That was
nice,
really
thoughtful way to
thoughtful.
approach it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really hardworking team of students from all different groups of people who work together to figure out something everyone would like.
That's really great.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 26th trip to Boston for the 2018 class trip.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of the class trip to Boston, signify aye.
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 Opposed? So votes aye. Thanks.
The next item in my report is legislative update, and the legislature remains as busy as ever. There are more bills than can possibly be tracked. SB 193 is still out there and controversial. There is a group of bills around cooperative school districts that there will be some hearing about tomorrow. An executive session on, I think, some of those bills tomorrow. There is one bill that I'm really happy that's being brought forward, and it's about certification requirements for nurses and licensing, and the requirements for school nurses have become so stringent that it makes it difficult for schools to employ school nurses. They're requiring specific pediatric training for nurses that have been in our schools for quite some time. They're going to, I think, change that and relax that standard. At least that's what it's looking like, because they realize that it makes it impossible. There's a nursing shortage, and it's impossible for schools to find school nurses. So that's a really good thing. And I think, other than that, I mean, there are so many. If we started talking about them, we would just get mired in details. So.
I think it's nice if you can, as things happen, just keep us updated on what you have before via email. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Great. Okay, and New Hampshire School Board Association, a couple of interesting things. We had our delegate assembly back on January 20th, and the hot topic session in the morning was pretty interesting. Will Phillips, who's the new staff attorney at the School Board Association, did a presentation on right to know, and his presentation lasted an hour. It could have gone on probably for 5 or 6 hours, because it just keeps evolving into more and more and more. They're putting together a packet of information for what they know today as far as the right to know law is concerned. But there's a lot of stuff that's changing, and we had to cut him off after an hour because everyone in the audience had their hands up, they had some questions, and he couldn't even get through half his presentation. So more and more to come on that. The second presentation that we heard was from the Hopkinton School Board, which was the School Board of the Year award winner, and their presentation reminded me a lot about this school board here. A school board that is working very, very closely with the superintendent to do the right thing for students. And it was really kind of gratifying to listen to what they're doing, which is pretty much what we're doing. We keep our students focused and our attention focused on what's important for the students. And they put a great program together, but it's very similar to what we're doing. So it was almost like us being up there listening to, I think, how wonderful we do things in this district. So it was really kind of nice. And the last presentation that we heard was really interesting as well. It was from the Business and Industry Association of New Hampshire. And they put together a program on what business is actually looking for students coming out of high school. And it was very interesting to listen to their presentation about what's important in the business world today. It's not necessarily a 4-year degree. It may be, but it's not necessarily a 4-year degree. There's a shortage of engineers. There's a shortage of technical people. They're not 4-year college engineers, but kids that have gone through vocational programs that have the skills that could easily go into the job market, but they're being pushed off to 4-year schools. 2-year colleges as well. A lot of 2-year programs are what they should be focusing on. At least this is what the business industry sees. There is room for the 4-year college graduates. The statistics they said was there was 63% or 66% of the students are going on to 4-year schools now at high school. Certainly not, they don't stay there all the time. The right number, according to the business industry, should probably be 1/3 of the students going to 4-year schools. Some more going to 2-year schools, others going to tech schools, some kids going right to the workforce, others going to the military. But don't force all these kids into 4-year schools if they don't know what they're doing. And they may already have the skills, and they may even have certification from a technology program to go right into the business world. So it was really just an interesting conversation about the direction of post-education. What do you do with it? Should all those kids be pushed off into 4-year schools or not? And it's a mindset. It's a thought process. But the basic presentation was that there's not enough people to put into the workforce today. And maybe some of these kids that are off out in school, not knowing what they're doing, should be in the workforce, because that's where they can flourish. So again, it was kind of an interesting, really interesting day. The other thing is I attended my first meeting of the NHIAA board, and that was quite a day. NHIAA, as you know, is the athletic association in New Hampshire. And the meeting started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we got finished about 2:30 in the afternoon. And it's an all-day meeting about discussion of different things that are happening within the athletic world. Part of it is a new football program where there's 14 days of, I don't know what they call it, where there's minimal contact, and it gradually builds up to full contact. There was a presentation on the Life of an Athlete program that they have in a lot of the schools now. And it's amazing when you listen to the presentations that you go to an athletics event, you don't realize at all what's behind the scenes making it all happen. The rules, the regulations, the stipulations that happen, all the different things that are out there today, the concussion protocol, all those things that are talked about all the time. So fortunately, we only meet 4 times a year. And they did say our meeting in May, expect a full day from 8 to 5, so it should be interesting. But it was good, and I like being a part of those different processes. So anyway, that's all I have, and I don't have anything for Chairman's correspondence. We can go right on to committee reports, academic affairs.
I have nothing either tonight.
Okay. Well, I know that. So in between academic affairs and finance, building and maintenance. Right.
Nothing to report.
Look at that. We missed it, and nothing to report. I have nothing for finance except for, I thought we had a very good deliberative session. I think everything went well. There weren't a whole lot of questions, but I think the few comments that were out there, I think we did, the presentations went well. I thought the day went well itself. And now we get our little flyer out and tell everybody to vote yes on the budget and the contracts that are out there and move forward. Public relations. Nothing today. I have nothing for school and human resources either. Advanced planning. You can see down below we have school vacation coming up on the 26th to the 2nd. Our next school board meeting is at Carpenter on the 12th, and election day, no school, in-service day on the 13th. And let's see what else. Public input.
Big accomplishment to get a hard date for the last day of school. I mean, honestly, it's great for the teachers, obviously, but for families also, so they can do their summer plans.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Closing comments by board members. Let's start over with Wendy.
Okay.
I wanted to say that I was able to attend. The swimming team made the states, and we had a great showing. So we broke, I could say, Cam Stinchfield, Lily, Abigail Larkin, Paige Fenderson, Sarah Belfleur. They placed 7th in the 400-meter relay, which we were so very close to doing top 6, but Cam did very well on personal, as did Sarah Belfleur, and they broke many school records, and I hear that they may get the record thing as the other school athletes do. So they did very, very well. They should be very proud. And thanks to the kids. The kids did amazing. I know I couldn't program that thing, so yeah, that's very cool.
And thank you to Mr. Riley for having us at Crescent Lake, and the kids did a great job. And I love when I see the kids, but I also love to hear them talk about something that they're passionate about and they really care about. And everybody get out and vote March 13th.
Thank you, Principal Riley. I'm always so jealous when I see the robotics team. I didn't have that when I was a kid, and I would have really benefited from that. But and then I think it's great, Abby, when you report on the Nights Against Hunger, or when you tell us stories about like the athletic departments, and they're raising donations for Cancer Society. It's just it's great that you students do all of this for all these organizations. Thank you.
Yeah, honestly, I had more questions I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to look clueless, because some of that is just so over my head, but kudos to them. And just the Nights Against well, all of those programs, I don't remember doing anything like that in high school. I mean, so that our students nowadays take on that too, and then they really take it on. Just because I have someone in my house who is in Nights Against Hunger, and how many kids are involved in that? There's got to be at least 20, 25?
35 people.
Yeah, so many people. But to the extent, I mean, they worked hard for that money. They did fantastic, but the outreach, they went and did public speaking. They went, I mean, where you got the bowls? They came from like...
Some people, one girl drove to Portsmouth and Concord, almost drove to Boston.
They got them from other schools. They got them from professional artisans. I mean, just the amount of work and planning. I mean, this is like a professional event they put together, and with and the students are great, and with the faculty that assist them, they really they learn so much more than just within the classroom on these events. So kudos to all you guys.
Thank you. It was great being here tonight. And I echo the same comments that you guys, certainly that was just awesome. Actually, anytime that we see those sorts of programs, it's just awesome. So thank you again. Again, I'm going to echo the same comments as far as the Nights Against Hunger. When you said that, it was like, holy moly. That was just awesome that that group was able to come together and make that happen. $4,000 is a ton of money, so they worked out great. And that's it for now.
Ready?
Well, you pretty well said what I wanted to say, but Principal Riley, I would like you to please thank Mrs. Arsenault and Mrs. Diamond for their efforts with those kids.
Yeah.
This coding, you can carry it right through high school and stuff. It's some of the higher paying jobs that are out there, if you understand how to do that stuff, and the school board member still doesn't understand how to do it, so I didn't ask any questions. But it's a very good thing that they're doing, and our kids are getting a lot of the tools they need for when they graduate. So I think it's important, and thank you.
The robotics was so cool. That's beyond me. But that was awesome. And just thank you everyone for supporting us and all the different stuff we do at the high school, and field trips, approving them, and snow days, all that stuff. So thank you.
Kelly?
I have to say, both my husband and I are alums of the Project Closeout program, one of those field trips they were talking about, and we had an awesome time, so I'm ready to go. Also, the robotics was awesome. I have to say, And to the group that sang the national anthem at the deliberative session, they were really awesome too. Yeah. And also the Kingswood baseball team did a fundraiser this past 2 weekends that incorporated the little kids from the other schools, and so that was awesome.
Thank you. No, I won't necessarily make you say anything if you don't want to, but if you'd like to, that's perfectly fine.
There are a couple of things I did. I won't repeat because what everyone else has said, I would just say ditto. But congrats to the swim team, because I remember when that was just a little tiny team, and you know, they weren't getting a lot of records or anything like that, and they just persevered, and now they're doing really well. So I'm very excited for them.
You know, the support of, you know, school board and parents and teacher, Mrs. Coppert, the one starting it, and Susan and Al that are there now. It's great. So swim.
Yeah, it's exciting. And then the other thing I wanted to mention about robotics, I thought what the kids focused on was really interesting, the gracious professionalism. Because when I talk with the business and industry folks, they talk about how they need people that can work as team members, how people that can support each other, and of course those basic skills of being on time, et cetera. So I just loved the fact that they really focused on that, and they were learning that as a part of what they're doing as well. Looking forward to the hallways, and I'm going to try not to miss the hallways of the lip sync this year. No, I won't be in it. You know, sometimes I just don't get to see it, so I'm hoping I get to see it this year. And then Poetry Out Loud tomorrow night, I always get excited about that, because that's such a great event, and I'm just always amazed by the kids. So.
Cool. Do you want to say anything about it?
Thank you, Principal Riley, for the welcome, and extend a thank you to Mrs. Spring, please. And always great to look out and see the faces of people we don't get to see as often as we would like. So thank you to the teachers and staff for being here.
Well, speaking of that too, before we go into non-public, could we take a little break in between now and non-public? So if you'd like to come up and check the table out, really,
Take a game.
it really was. We're not going to eat all that. We'll go to the kitchen lounge tomorrow morning, or later tonight. So really, feel free to come up after we go into after we make the motion to go into non-public if you'd like to, and enjoy yourself a little bit. So I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A, ;3, paragraph 2, of legal personnel or suit matters.
So moved.
Okay. Oh, it's been moved.
Aye.
Kathy? Yes. Yes. Ernie? Yes. Yes. We're in non-public. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, great, yeah.